friends, and welcome to another Paint With Me video. I'll be painting my Lily of the Valley piece that's part of my calendar collection. And I just wanted to say thank you so much for all the love that you guys have given this piece over on Instagram. It seems to be quite a sentimental flower, and that's very sweet. So thank you for reaching out and letting me know. I'm setting up the colors here. I must have found a color combination that I thought would work well for this painting, so I must have written it down on this little sticky note to try to remember that color combination. So I'm mixing it up here to see if I still liked it for this painting. It's a combination of brown madder, aqua green, and Winsor green blue shade. And I actually lost some footage of this painting, so this is what it looks like up to the point where I lost the footage. So I'm working on the leaves here. A lot of the leaves was just slowly blending in different colors, so I'm using yellow and yellow ochre and some Winsor green blue shade. I remember drawing the line work for this painting and drawing in little tiny details like the wave of this leaf that I'm painting right there. So I'm dropping in more colors. A lot of the leaf was just building up layers of gradients, kind of. So like I said, I was dropping in yellow and blending it, fading it into green and adding some blues in there as well. So I'm working pretty wet at this point of the leaves. And it's the little details like preserving the width of the leaf, because they're not one-dimensional, they're two-dimensional, you know, so even though you think of them as flat, it still adds a little something to try and capture the slight depth of the leaves. I had a color combination in mind for this painting, so this is me adding layers and layers to kind of build up to that greenish blue color that I was imagining in my head. And deepening up values here. It's always important to make sure that the painting as a whole visually makes sense with the values. You kind of have to not think of the coloring at this point, but just make sure that the values are communicating the painting well. And here I started adding the fine line details, the striation of the leaves. And I've had a few people ask if I use watercolor pencils to get those kind of harder line details, and I don't. I just use a thicker mix of watercolors. So I'm mixing up some brown madder and Winsor green blue shade and Prussian blue here to get this deep bluish, slightly green color. I really love how the lines turned out on the leaves. I think they really made it pop and it made it striking. And I wanted to do that because the flowers are so delicate and not super imposing, I guess, not a focal feature of the painting. So I wanted to make sure to get some kind of harder details to balance out the painting between the leaves and the flowers. Moving on to the stems of the flower stalks. They were very tiny, so I had to pull out my tiny brush to make sure I was getting the level of detail that I wanted. And adding in just a few shadows on this part of the stalk just made it really pop. I was kind of surprised with how much it made it stand out. And finally getting to the flowers. Painting white flowers can sometimes be tricky. I still get scared of painting white flowers, but for me, using gray, just gray, works. So it's actually ivory black. The paint that I use is Winsor & Newton's ivory black, just watered down. And that's what I use for my white flowers. Sometimes I'll add in either a warm or a cool color to the black, depending on like reflected light and warm shadow versus cool shadow. But for these ones, I just wanted to keep them simple and be able to like easily tell what's going on with them, so I didn't want to busy up each flower with added color, so I stuck with just gray. And each flower just took layers and layers to build up the right sense of values, I guess, the right depth of values that I wanted. Because with the flowers being so small on the painting is an 11 by 14, but the flowers were still, you know, less than an inch, less than maybe half an inch on some of them. So in order to make sure that they were being communicated clearly, I wanted to add some really dark shadows or defining areas. I wanted to film one full flower of me painting it without speeding it up, but the rest of these I'll speed up. And the flowers were the last thing that I needed to paint. I added a little bit of yellow into the center of each of the flowers and probably deepened up the shadows a bit more. But yeah, that little yellow pop of color, it's quite faint on the actual painting. but I still really like what it added to it. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate you watching my videos, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.